Hey bikers, thanks for tuning in to Biker Man. Today you're following along on a Sunday morning country road loop ride out at Lavon Lake, north of Dallas. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you out there. So here's my post-ride map from Garmin, just to give you an idea of where this loop is located that I ended up riding. And there's three main sections. The first section from where I parked at Highland Park, which is where you can see the little stop sign there, is mostly a country road section. And it's, smaller little roads like this one, a lot of really beautiful portions that are covered by trees, and then flanked by open fields with, cattle, and some of them, some farming going on out there. It was a really beautiful portion. This was sort of the first maybe 5 or 6 miles of the ride. And this is what I was trying to accomplish on this day, because we had gotten a couple days of rain. I knew that a lot of my local dirt and gravel was going to be muddy, so I didn't want to get out there and tear that stuff up, but I wanted to get a beautiful ride in. And as you can see, this first portion was excellent, exactly what I was hoping for. And the trailhead, well, it's not exactly a trailhead. Highland Park is a boat launch. There is a trailhead for the Trinity Trails, but unfortunately that's just hiking and equestrian. And then there is fishing available there too, and I've actually gone fishing there in the past. That's kind of how I knew about the location. And so from there, it's pretty much a lot of country roads in the area, which is great. The thing that I liked about that section was that in addition to all of the trees and the foliage and everything, there's a lot of up and down areas. You'll sort of just like be hauling down a hill and then pedaling up the next one. And in this area, it's a lot of stuff is flat, so it was cool to get a little bit of variety in on the ride. It's very scenic, quiet, very little traffic, and I think actually, of the three sort of sections of the ride, this was my favorite. In the future, if I do something similar in this area, I will definitely try to reroute in order to just stay on these roads, because as you'll see, the second portion of the ride, the second and the third portion of the ride, were a little bit sketchier. But yeah, this section, these areas were gorgeous. And this is, like, for me, the ideal kind of place where I would like to live, out in one of these areas. You can see that this was kind of typical for that area, these cows. Nice little pond, beautiful area, nice and quiet. So this area here, you can see it's a little bit harder to tell on the GoPro, but it's a little bit of a hill there. That's kind of typical to how it was up and down. And then this is actually, I'm turning onto Farm to Market Road 546. And I looked at this ahead of time on Google Maps, and I thought, oh, well, there's a good shoulder most of the way. And so even though I know that they're not bike lanes, at least there's a nice shoulder. I'll be able to feel comfortable. The only problem is that it kind of starts off great, and then you get to where the shoulder is, and there are these like I don't know exactly what these are called. I just think of them as like sleep strips, where it's like if you fall asleep and you start to go off the road, you hit them in your car and it kind of keeps you awake. And I didn't notice them, or couldn't notice them, from looking on Google Maps. So yeah, it was this portion of it, which was another, I don't know, maybe the next sort of 5 to 6 miles of the ride, whatever it was uncomfortable. Luckily, in a lot of the places, there's this sort of foot of that you see me riding here, this foot between the sleep strip and the side of the road. You can ride kind of comfortably. But if you were on a road bike, you wouldn't really be able to ride that. So unless you have a gravel or a hardtail mountain bike like I've got, this is a no ride zone, which is, I mean, this has been newly paved. This has been newly built. Like, why not just put another foot there? You know what I'm saying? For people to be able to ride their bikes, or even like if you're in a car and you needed to pull over, it's like it's not safe. It's not safe to do so. So anyway, it was very uncomfortable, even though it was a Sunday morning. And if I do this ride again, I will definitely not be riding as much of that as I did this time. This is another little boat ramp that's on the opposite end or the opposite side of the lake. And I might actually, the next time I do this ride, I might actually park there instead so I can connect with some more of the country roads from the first section. Now, this is the third section, and this is along East Lucas Road. And this is like the bridge crossing that goes over the lake, but I couldn't help but to come and check this out. I noticed that some people had been bringing their cars and trucks down here, so I thought maybe there would be some trails that, you know, fishermen had made or whatever that I could check out. You know, this is like one of the cool things about the area is just like there's a lot of areas that you can kind of just explore, and there's no trespassing signs. Go check it out, see what's there. But you can see that there hasn't been anybody down here, too many people down here. But unfortunately I get to the end here, and off to the right hand side there's barbed wire fence that goes around, so that's private property. And then on the left hand side I could have gone back underneath the bridge, but I didn't want to press my luck because we were going to be getting some storms in the area. So I just decided, rather than bushwhacking it back under the bridge there and carrying my bike, I figured, we'll save this location for another day. But nonetheless, got a nice little look at the lake. Peaceful little location. Would be a nice place to sit and do some fishing. But anyway, the third section, which, like I said, is along East Lucas Road, it goes over the lake. Lavon Lake is kind of like a series of little fingers, and this road goes over, I think, 3 different fingers of the lake. So it could be a very scenic section to ride if you were going on like a long road ride or something like that. I think on this day I did like a total of like 15 or 18 miles. I don't know exactly what it was. This is gorgeous, and I would normally feel pretty comfortable, riding this size of a shoulder. But the shoulder is in pretty rough shape. There's trash, and just pretty typical of a Texas shoulder. You can't really be riding too close to the right-hand side because it's just, there's glass and metal and, rocks and everything like that. It's just, it's not very safe. And this specific bridge is known for accidents. In the last year, a couple of people have died in car accidents there. But nonetheless, it was a beautiful view, and from here, I just sort of connected back. This road actually takes you back to the park where the trailhead was that where I had parked. All in, I love the country road portion of the ride, and I definitely plan to do more of those in the future. It has been such an odd summer with weather. I mean, like the trails are, dry out for a day or two, and then it rains and they're wet again. So I'll have to get creative with my rides for the next little while, and the country roads and exploring areas that people don't really go to is probably something that I'm going to end up doing more of. So, and it was fun. I'll just in the future try to find a little bit safer route, but definitely an area, if you've got a gravel bike, I think that might be the ideal bike to ride these kinds of things on, just because you could probably put in a little bit more mileage more comfortably, quicker. Road bike, I don't think is really, I mean, look at these potholes. A lot of this stuff you just wouldn't want to mess with a road bike. But if you're like me and you like to explore those, unknown dirt roads, you see, hardtail mountain bike worked out pretty well too. So anyway, thank you guys for tuning in to Biker Man. Like and subscribe, and I will see you out there.